Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Austin Public Library and our virtual potluck. I'm Diana Lennon, Head of Adult Services, and I'm very happy to welcome Ashley Covelli here, who's going to cook tonight some nice chili to warm us up and some sweet muffins, right? And you're always welcome to cook along with her or just watch. And we will post the video later on our website. And Ashley, why don't you want to review the dates and when our next sessions are?
Yeah, so our next month we're meeting on Tuesday, December 6th at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to make ricotta cookies. Trying to find a cookie recipe that didn't take like chilling time or whatever, so we can do it within an hour, but this will be good. They might be a little warm when we start glazing, but it'll be fine. It's a nice holiday type recipe. And then we haven't planned for next year yet, but we need to meet about that. We will. And if anybody has programming requests, you can feel free to send them to either Diana or myself at the library. We're always happy to accommodate. We've had some great theme suggestions from other people in the past. So this month's theme, soups and stews, because it is actually cold. It was 80 last week. It's cold today. So we're going to make a 3-bean chili, optionally spicy, and then some sweet corn muffins. So it's like they're great for breakfast, but they're great along with the chili also. If you're making it along with me, I know Joanna is, and if you can't unmute, that's fine, Joanna. Are you going spicy or not? Because I'm going to divide mine into two. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, spicy's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can always like ease off a little bit. So what I usually do is I start it. And then once I get to the point where I'm going to add the spices, I take half of it and I put it in another container. And then I add the spicy spices to the one. So my son doesn't like have his head blown off with spiciness.
Right. I get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm going to do all the spices. So
awesome. I just have to remember to, for me, cut the spice amounts in half since I'm dividing. So I think I goofed that once. It was, but still very good. So you can use any type of ground protein that you like. I'm using turkey today. I've done it with beef, bison. It's great with Beyond ground meat substitute if you don't eat meat. And we will get started. In a large stock pot that has a lid, we're gonna melt some butter. So just a tablespoon of butter in there. And I don't know what the chances are of this, but I had exactly 5 tablespoons left in the stick, and we need 4 for the muffins and 1 for this. So I'm like, if nobody won that Powerball jackpot, maybe I should buy a ticket. So I'm just gonna put this over like medium heat. A lot of burners going today. And then also, if you want to preheat your oven to 375, if you're making the muffins along with me. So then while the butter is melting, we're going to cut up an onion, just a small onion. It says half a cup, but just approximately that amount. A small onion or half of a large onion. I'm using a yellow one. White's fine, red's fine. Shallots are fine. It's not super finicky. But I'm just going to peel it off and just kind of dice it smallish. Oh, you got it. You know, I can't get the doorbell on Zoom to work on like my computer upstairs for some reason. It works on this one, which is nice, but I don't know. Let's see. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Mary.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome.
I was like,
how are you?
I was like, is it that Mary? This onion skin is. Come on. All right. Don't be like that. There we go. All right.
Ashley's just starting the chili, Mary.
Yeah. So
Okay,
we're doing as spicy as you like it. If you like it spicy, I was telling everyone else that I'm dividing it in half at a certain point when I go to add the spicy things so that my son can have some that's not spicy. And then we can have it that with the heat, kind of, clear out the sinuses. And this chili, it's super easy, but we added just a couple things to make it different than most other chilies I've had. So there's a little bit of cocoa powder in there, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cumin. And then what makes it spicy, in addition to the regular chili powder, is not spicy. I'm just adding these onions into the stock pot. Chipotle chili powder and cayenne. And just those two things really, like cayenne is like, you just need a tiny amount. But the chipotle chili powder is a little smoky and nice too. So we're gonna saute that until it's soft, about 3 minutes or so. Just stir it every once in a while. And I have a child-proof package of celery. Oh, scissors, come on. I thought it was perforated. Oh, and Mary, also, we were saying for next year, once we start up again in January, if you have any requests, any type of themes you would like to see. I feel like last January we did maybe salads. Did we do salads? Because I felt everybody was looking for something a little lighter.
Yeah, maybe
something like that. I know we did
a whole year ago.
Yeah, I can't remember yesterday. So we just need about a 1/4 cup of celery. Again, just kind of small dicing it, or medium, as long as they're around the same size, it doesn't really matter. I don't like to be, except with baking, I don't like to be too crazy about how perfect everything has to be, because if you've seen a bowl of chili, you know it doesn't necessarily look amazing. Brown foods are tricky, but this one I found with the additional little garnishes up top, it makes it really nice. So you can add some color. That's kind of why I went with, I like adding red onions or shallots and some cilantro, a little Greek yogurt or sour cream.
Ashley, we did do salads in January, and so that was good. And then we did bowls. Remember?
Oh, that one was fun.
That was fun. Yeah.
Bowls are such a versatile format for dishes, I feel like. All right, I'm just gonna stir the the onions around. And I might go more up to medium high, actually. Cooking a little slower today. And then once those are soft, we'll add 2 pounds of whatever ground protein that you're using. I'm using turkey, and I like to have a bowl, depending what kind of meat or non-meat you're using. There will be a lot of grease that comes out. So I like to have a heat safe bowl that I just kind of keep near my stock pot. And then what I found is kind of easiest to do is if you tilt your pan and scoot the ingredients back. If you have a turkey baster, you can use this to suck the fat out and then put it into that bowl. You can use a spoon also, if I like using this type if you're gonna use a spoon, just because it's like a small little ladle, it's easy to get in there, but you don't have to drain it. I find it's a little greasy if you don't. So, and even just sauteing onions in butter, I feel like smells so good. I'm gonna open these packages. And one note, I was doing a private class recently, and I'm glad that I mentioned this because she would have had some interesting results. There's a lot of times in a ground meat package, there's a little paper or something underneath there. You want to make sure when you turn this out into your pan that you get rid of that. You don't want to eat it. Definitely not. So both of these are just going to go right into the pot with the onions and not the paper. Sometimes it stays in the package, but you can't count on it. It gets wild like that. Oh, both of them did. All right, and then once it's in there, I'll show you over here. This was one of the best stocking stuffers I ever got. It's little, it was like a couple dollars, but this thing, it breaks up ground meat. And if you're on the live class, you can see the overhead view, but you just kind of go like this, and you can do it as it cooks, and you just keep doing that, and it breaks up all the meat. It comes in very handy. I do it when I'm making tacos or chili like this. All right. So while we're just kind of waiting for that to brown, and every once in a while I'll go back in and break it up more. Wooden spoon works great too. Let's see. So after that, we can go ahead and measure out some of our other ingredients. We've got the 1/4 cup of celery. We're gonna need 2/3 of a cup of ketchup. It doesn't make it taste like ketchup. I know it's a lot of ketchup, but it doesn't, it like adds a richness that, but not too tomatoey, like not like tomato paste. But I've never tried substituting. This was a variation on the one my mom made when I was growing up, which was, I believe, Betty Crocker originally, without all the extra things in it. And then sometimes I'll do like a big cornbread with the chili, and like a cast iron skillet is really nice. And you can add pieces like kernels of corn if you like, or cheddar is really nice. These muffins I like, they're just like, they're a little sweet. They're great for breakfast, but they're also good along with this. So we're gonna add ketchup, water. How much water do we need? 1/2 cup of water. If you have multiple measuring cups to get it measured out, that way it's easier to dump in, you can. You don't have to. So I'm not adding these quite yet. I'm just getting them ready. So this is actually also similar to the way that my Sloppy Joe recipe starts, minus like for this one, obviously we had a bunch of tomato juice and everything, but the Sloppy Joe's, it just cooks down as a little saucier and no beans, but similar recipes. And also one that's good with a variety of different types of meat. I just saw somebody texted me that their sitter canceled tonight. They can't be here. All right. So we can go ahead and open the cans of beans while the meat is cooking. My husband really likes it. It's a 3-bean chili. He likes 3 different types of beans. Doesn't really matter what type, but there's something about the 3 that he very much enjoys. So I usually try to find red beans, kidney beans. Sometimes there's chili beans. Some of them are seasoned though, so you don't want the ones that are seasoned. I've got dark red kidney beans, pink beans, and light red kidney beans. So I was trying to look at the store. There was 2 that had the same label, and one was red and one was pink, but they both looked the same color. And I'm like, did the marketing department just not take pictures of all the beans? Or they didn't even bother trying to Photoshop them? And let me just double check here. We're not draining the beans, is that right? Undrained. So you want to leave the liquid in. It's going to go into the chili. Kind of nice because, most recipes you have to drain out the liquid. I don't know if it helps make it a little thicker because the liquid in there is a little starchy. Okay. So 3 cans of beans. Let's check on the meat. So I'm starting to get a good amount of fat in here. So I'm going to do what I was saying. I'm going to take the spoon and show you over here. Just take the spoon, push this to the side, and you can see all that liquid coming out down there. So I'll just go ahead and use the baster to get it out. And just remember, if you are doing that, don't put it in the liquid and then squeeze it. You want to make sure you squeeze it first, put it in the liquid, and then it'll suck up the fat. Otherwise you'll get splattered and it will not be pleasant. I've also ruined, not thinking, I ruined a turkey baster, or I guess it's just a baster. It's not specific for turkey, but it was a plastic one, the tip, this one's silicone on the tip. It wasn't, and I was draining some fat out of something in a cast iron skillet and it did not go well. It melted on my pan. So, and then if you have one that's metal, just make sure after you suck up the fat, you don't touch the metal because it gets screaming hot. So I'll show on this one. My meat is still pretty pink. So I'm just going to keep going until it's brown. It doesn't have to be fully cooked, but we want it to be brown throughout. Oh, and I brought something else down from my shelves to show you because I'm going to put some of my leftovers in this. I got this on Amazon. It's these 1 cup compartments and it's a silicone mold. So I'll put my leftovers, it's got like little measurements in here for 1/2 cup and 1 cup. I'll portion out some and I'll freeze them and then I put them in a bag in the freezer and then you have like perfect size. It's so good. It's been coming in handy. Like I have some beef stew here. Like I have a cube of beef stew. I vacuum sealed it because I'm a nerd, but it's homemade beef stew and it tastes better when you don't have to actually make it that day too. And actually I think chili and stew and stuff like that tends to taste better the day after anyway. Like after it's kind of soaked in the overnight in the fridge. I have a 1/2 cup one and it worked really nice. Just use it the first time. I like to have a 1 cup. Yeah, I have this is, if anybody's interested in them, these are the ones that I bought. I've had them for probably a year. No, 2 years. I used them to store cranberry sauce after Thanksgiving too, and that worked out really nicely. So I didn't have to make them for leftovers. It was pretty great. So this meat, I think, depending on how fatty the turkey or beef that you're using is, you'll get quite a bit of grease out of here. Since our theme is soups and stews, and feel free to unmute if you'd like, does anybody have a favorite soup or stew that they find particularly comforting? I'm always curious what other people are.
Well, I love tomato soup with grilled cheese.
Yeah,
that's like one of my go-to comforts. But I also just love chicken noodle soup or ramen noodle. Like I love anything with ramen noodle and soup. Very good.
Classic.
Do you like creamy or non-creamy tomato soup or both?
I like both, but I definitely have to have it with grilled cheese.
Yeah. Have you ever done or seen when people make little grilled cheese as croutons to put on there?
No, that sounds amazing.
It's really cute. So like, I guess you just make it and you cut it into little pieces and then you have like little itty bitty grilled cheese.
Oh, it's cute.
That's great.
That's a good idea. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I haven't done it, but I've seen it and it looks pretty good. Oh, chicken noodle soup. Mary, have you had the chicken noodle soup from D'Italia here in Ossining?
I've never been to D'Italia. Where is D'Italia? I don't even.
It's over now. They moved. It's over by that El Salvadoran restaurant on Route 9.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I think they're like owned. They must be like owned by the same people or something. Them and like the Texas chicken and gyro spot.
Oh, okay.
But their chicken noodle soup, one time I had it, it was too salty, but it's really good. There's a lot of chicken in it, like a lot of the good noodles. The flavor is really nice.
That sounds
That's
very
good
yummy.
to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in this weather and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Ashley, I love lentil soup.
Yeah.
Or like split green pea when we have like a ham bone or something.
Yeah.
Yum.
And
I love
classic,
soup.
like,
It's so
beef
comforting.
We're all browned
Oh,
now.
that's
It's not fully cooked, but it's browned. So we can add the other ingredients. So we're gonna add 2/3 cup of ketchup and a 1/2 cup of water. I'm gonna turn my heat back down to medium now. Yeah, I need to make more lentil soups. They're always so comforting and yeah.
I love butternut squash soup lately.
Oh,
Yeah,
me too.
I love
Yeah.
butternut squash soup, or like, anything with squashy, soupy, whatever. Yeah.
Squashy soupy. We're gonna add our celery that we chopped up and then a tablespoon of brown sugar. I'm using dark brown sugar. If you only have light, that's fine. And when you measure the brown sugar, I have avocado and stuff on top of mine, tiny kitchen problems. And when you measure it, you want to pack it. So I'm gonna scoop and just kind of press it against the edge here so that I get like a nice full scoop of brown sugar. I have a curried pumpkin soup recipe on my website that is one of our favorites too, but you have to be careful. Wait, hang on, let me make sure I get this stuff in here. We want 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. You have to be careful if you're making something savory with pumpkin, that if you're buying canned pumpkin, you don't accidentally get pumpkin pie filling, because a regular can of pumpkin and a can of pumpkin pie filling both have pictures of pumpkin pie on the front of them. And my father-in-law one year came over for dinner and I asked him, I was like, oh, can you pick up canned pumpkin for the soup? And he said, yeah. And he came over and I didn't think anything of it. And my husband was like, how much sugar did you put in this? And I was like, there's like, I don't know, it's like a teaspoon of honey or something very mild. He's like, it's really sweet. And I tasted it and it was really sweet because it was pumpkin pie in a mix in a can instead of just pumpkin. So lesson learned. And ever since, it's a mistake you should only make once, but I've made it so you don't have to now. We're gonna also add 1.5 teaspoons each of Worcestershire and salt, kosher salt. If you're using a finer grain salt, use half that amount. Oh wait, yeah. I'm thinking of baking. For the baking, I use a finer grain table salt. My husband's friend calls this stuff Westchester sauce because he can't pronounce it. And for those of you not local, we live in Westchester County. So it just is.
That is very funny.
An easier way to say it, yeah. Okay, so we've got the onion, ground meat, ketchup, water, celery, brown sugar, lemon juice, Worcestershire salt, a teaspoon of cider vinegar. I'm throwing things, okay. Okay, and it's already starting to smell kind of like chili in here. I don't know if it is for you there, Joanna. And a 1/4 teaspoon of dried mustard, and then we're just going to stir it together and cover it. I feel like I don't use ground mustard too often, but there's a few recipes that it's definitely goes into. So a 1/4 teaspoon of that.
Okay, so if you don't have dry mustard,
you just throw a little squirt of. I've never done it, but I'm sure a little squirt of mustard would be fine in there. Or
My
you
husband
could
always
leave it out.
uses regular mustard in the chili. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So right now, it's looking like, how is this going to be like a soupy type of thing? It will, trust the process. I just stirred it all together. And I'm gonna put the lid on and I'm gonna lower it, the heat to low. It's like, where was my lid? Alexa, set a chili timer for 30 minutes. All right. So that's going to do its thing. And then after 30 minutes, we're going to add the other ingredients, take some out if you're making some not spicy, and finish that up. So I guess I can set the beans aside. I have the dropsies today. Playing like kitchen Tetris here. All right. So we're gonna do the muffins next. Move this stuff around. I'm just gonna line a muffin tin. You can grease it really well, but I find personally greasing muffin tins just never really cuts it. If you do, I think maybe vegetable shortening works the best. I have some Halloween muffin liners left. They have really great muffin tin liners at the dollar store here in Ossining. That's not really a dollar store because I've seen things there that cost like $30, which I don't understand. But but they have like really cute, like this one's got little like black cats and spider webs and jack-o'-lanterns and candy corn. They have all the seasons there. All right. So I like to, when I bake stuff like this, I like to put it on a sheet pan also, just in case you have something that spills over, it doesn't get into your oven. Then if nothing spills, great, the sheet pan's not dirty, you can just put it back in the cabinet. But so I just like to have it like this. It just makes it a little easier to kind of transport. So we are gonna grab a large bowl. Am I going at a good pace for you, Joanna? I hope. Okay. Sometimes I get carried away yapping, and sometimes
No,
I.
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'll catch up.
You're what?
I'm good. I'll catch up.
Okay. Do you need me to repeat anything?
No, I'm all set. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. No problem. We're gonna add 1.5 cups of regular all-purpose flour, and did I take those measuring cups out? Yes. When you're measuring for baking, I like to, instead of like we did with the brown sugar, instead of scooping in and packing it, that'll compress it and add extra flour. I like to scoop. If you don't have an actual scoop, you can just use a spoon, but scoop it kind of lightly into there. We'll be doing this next month when we make the ricotta cookies. And then even the kind of flatten it up top just to make it even. So one more because we need 1.5 cups. And if you do make either of these recipes or both of them, if you don't mind, if you in the class packet, you can click on either the photo of the recipe or the title of it, and it'll link you to the post on my website. If you could leave a comment with a star rating, that's super helpful for me. It helps people find my recipes and is appreciated. They didn't always have the star ratings as a thing on like the recipe card thing that I use on my website. So now that it is there, it's just helpful, you know, if you're searching for something online. Anyway, you don't have to. You can always also share them on social media. I love seeing pictures of my food in your kitchens. It always makes me happy. Okay, so we've got the flour. We're gonna add 3/4 cup of sugar. Sugar is not the same as flour. It doesn't, white sugar, granulated sugar isn't. So you can just kind of dip in there and shake it even. 3, so that's 3/4 cup, and then a half a cup of yellow cornmeal. There is, this says stone ground, but there are more coarse cornmeals that you would use, like you could use them for like polenta type things, but you don't want to do that for this particular recipe. Or maybe you do. I haven't done it. Maybe it would be good. I haven't tried it though, so I can't say. This is also kind of a fluffy ingredient, so I'm gonna spoon it in.
Can you do, rather than muffins, can you do like a square pan or something? I guess it would change the
Yeah, you
how long
can
you put it in for.
The timing, I would have to look. I have another like similar recipe that but definitely longer. You could always test it with a, sorry, my pot's just like squealing a little bit. You can always test it with a cake tester or a toothpick or a knife just to see. Off the top of my head, so these are going to bake for 18 to 20 minutes. I would think that it would be more like 20 to 30 minutes, but but again, I'm not 100% on that. So we've got flour, sugar, cornmeal, baking powder. We're going to do 2 teaspoons. And this ingredient, I have a very important note. If you don't already have your baking powder or you're planning on buying some, mine's just poured from a different container, but look to make sure that it says aluminum free if you can. It's not always a big deal, but a lot of brands contain aluminum, and you can, if you're using a large amount, especially, you can taste it and it's like sour and metallic. And I've ruined a batch of the ricotta cookies that we're making next month, which makes like 7 dozen cookies. I was like icing them and I went to taste one. I was like, oh, and it's very off-putting. It's not always noticeable, but if you can avoid it, I highly recommend doing so. Brands that I know, Rumford, it comes in a red can. That often says aluminum free. And I think Bob's Red Mill, there might be 1 or 2 other brands, but, and it's happened more than once. It wasn't just like a bad batch. Like I forgot when I was first cooking and I would notice it every once in a while, like this like off taste. Not fun, not fun. Then we're gonna add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And for this one, I'm using the more fine grain salt. That's just what I kind of grew up baking with, so I tend to use that. And I always measure it over a sink or something other than my bowl. So if it pours out too fast, it doesn't make this super salty. That was something my home ec teacher taught us in like middle school. So just something that stuck with me because you can't take it. It's hard to take it out once it's in. I'm just gonna whisk these dry ingredients together to get them combined. And then we're gonna need to melt some butter. So a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. I'm gonna put it in this bowl and microwave it. I often, if I'm softening or melting butter, I'll do it on like not full power. So if my microwave has like, you can do like power level 5, it goes 1 through 10. So 5 is just a little less intense. It just helps if it's sometimes butter like explodes in the microwave. I'll put a lid on it anyway, but it takes a little longer to melt, but it kind of minimizes the risk of that happening. And actually, my cover is in the sink right now, so I'm going to use a paper towel. So I'm just going to set it for like 1.5 minutes, and I'll put it at power level 7, just like 70%. Oh man, it smells so good in here. I wish you guys could smell it. I know Joanna can smell it, but yeah. Every like 30 seconds or so, I'll go check the butter and I'll give it a stir if it needs to.
Yeah, I agree. It smells really good.
Yay!
The combination of, I don't know, the vinegar and the mustard. And the
Yeah. It's like things that you wouldn't think on their own. Like, you know, when you hard cook an egg and it just like smells like sulfur, it's like, it doesn't smell good, but you know, it's going to be good. Or like I was roasting Brussels sprouts and it's like,
Oh yeah, those are very strong.
very strong, but so tasty.
Yeah, when they're roasted. Yeah. So
Yeah, I had bought some salmon and I just was like kind of cleaning out the fridge. I had extra squash and Brussels sprouts and I just roasted them quickly, and I have extras in my fridge now, which I can use for bowls, as we did in that one class. We just kind of, ever since then, I've been kind of making things into bowls more often, just like random assortment of things that are cooked. But I have a grill seasoning recipe that if I ever need something simple, so I just sprinkled it on the salmon and on the veggies, and everything was so good. All right, we've got what needs to go in here? Yogurt. We need to add 2/3 of a cup of plain yogurt. Make sure it's not vanilla. Sometimes the packaging for vanilla and plain look very similar based on different brands and the color schemes. 2/3. Okay. Add this, and the melted butter might get a little like weird looking with because it's hot and then you got something cold going in there, but it'll be fine. Okay, we need 3 tablespoons of milk. feel like these double-sided measuring spoons come in handy a lot because this side has brown sugar on it. Not that brown sugar would be bad in a sweet corn muffin, but you know, sometimes if it was like the chili powder or something, it might be a bit much. And then 1 egg, a large egg, and I usually beat it a little bit first before I put it in. And if you've been to one of my classes before, you'll know what I'm gonna say, but for eggs, instead of cracking them on the side of the bowl, it can tend to get eggshells stuck in there. If you do it on a flat surface, like your cutting board or your counter, just tap it a little bit. And I always put it in a separate container first, in case it's a rotten egg, because it sounds like it might not be so likely, but if you've ever gotten a rotten egg and ruined, I feel like I'm very cautionary today. I've got a lot of like, this got, I hope this didn't get dark. I'm just trying to help. But no, I've gotten like maybe 3 or 4 times in my life a rotten egg, and it's the most vile thing ever. And if I would have cracked it right into here versus in a container first, I would have ruined my lovely milk and yogurt and butter mixture. So anyway, just a tip. Just gonna kind of stir this together, and then we're gonna pour this into the dry mixture. I kind of make a little like well in the middle, just a little divot. Pour it in there, and then we're gonna stir until it's just combined. We don't want to over mix it. That way the muffins will stay nice and tender. So don't like go crazy on it here. Just kind of so you don't see a bunch of streaks of white. And I didn't write down, when we put this into the muffin tin, I don't think I wrote down the size of scoop that I like to use. I mean, you can just use a spoon and just try to fill them evenly. But for doing things like cookies, and I think I put the scoop size recommendation for the cookie recipe we're doing next month in the recipe card. It's got some dry stuff down there. Just it helps make everything consistently sized, and then they cook at the same rate, which is helpful. All right, so you can divide this between your muffin tins. I'm going to guess, let's see. I'm gonna guess that I use this one, and if you have cookie scoops, there's a little lever in here, like a windshield wiper, but for the scoop, a scoop wiper. Definitely the right name for it. And it's got a number on it. So this one says 16. And there's different sizes, have different measurements. So just something that can help you with portioning. I feel like this is probably the size I've used, but we'll find out. And then if you don't want them to have a little extra sweetness, don't need to do the topping. I just put a little turbinado sugar, which is raw sugar. It's just a little chunkier. It just gives it like a little bit of a nice kind of crunched on top, a little crackly thing, but you don't have to put that on there. And in fact, I haven't done this, but it would probably be great to do like a little chili powder or something like that to go with the muffins, or if you wanted to throw a little bit of cheese on top, do that. Ooh, is this gonna make 12? This might make, let's see. Might not make 12. This might make 11 with the scoop. Ooh, come back, come back. Slid over. Didn't aim that quite right. Yeah, it's all right. Can we get one more out of here? Let's find out. If you ever don't though, if you have a muffin tin, nah, this isn't enough for another one. If you have a muffin tin and you don't have quite enough filling to fill them all, I just usually pour a little bit of water into the empty one so that it has something in there so the oven doesn't try to cook that more than the other sides. All right, so I will do that now that I've said it. Let me actually do what I said. Just gonna pour just a tiny bit in this empty one. A little more than that, but like maybe halfway up, a third of the way up, just so it's got something in there. And then these, I'm gonna sprinkle with a little bit of turbinado sugar just on top. I've done years ago. I did this recipe with my son's kindergarten class. It was really cute, but we had to do this, and then I had to take them home and bake them, and then drive back to the school because they didn't have an oven, but they really wanted me to do like a baked thing with them. And this year is the first year since all of the world health issues that I'm able to go back in to do stuff with them. So I'm excited because we're going to do a hot cocoa mix for them to gift to their families.
Hooray for that. Right?
Yeah. I'm just going to put this in the oven we'll check in at 18 minutes. Depending, it could take a little less or a little more. Alexa, set a muffin timer for 18 minutes. All right. How's it going over there, Joanna? Awesome. What is next? We could start prepping the toppings for our chili. Alexa, how much time is left on the chili? 12 minutes. We busted through those muffins. I was like, what's another recipe we can make while this is simmering? You know, trying to fill the hour, but not have us sitting around waiting for something. Let's cut some toppings for the chili. Oh, I think, Mary, are you a Trader Joe's fan? I feel like you are.
I'm a huge Trader Joe's fan.
Okay.
Are you gonna Yorktown?
Yeah. I'm gonna show you something that I did today. And it was like, oh my gosh. So my friends recommended this Syrah smoked Toscano cheese spread and dip, right? It's like a creamy, there's like bits of, gosh, I don't even, it's like, there's some sort of seasonings and stuff in here. I had some pasta that I cooked extra, so I'd have leftover, just like plain pasta. I heated it up and I tossed some of this in there.
Oh, wow.
So
What kind of cheese is that? I never heard of that cheese, I don't think.
Let's see, Toscano cheese soaked in Syrah wine. And it's got cream cheese in there and milk and cheese culture and lactose whey, sea salt, garlic, parsley. So that's what the seasonings are, but it's very good.
Wow.
It made almost like a little kind of cream sauce for it.
Sort of like Alfredo, but probably better.
Well, a lot easier for
that's for sure, right?
Because I didn't have to do. And they also make, if you've ever had their unexpected cheddar, they make that in a spread too. But so I bought a block of it and this. It's like cheddar and Parmesan together. It's so good.
Ooh. Yeah, Trader Joe's has a lot of fun, tasty stuff.
Oh my gosh. But then like sometimes you get used to something and then they don't have it again. So
that's true. One of my favorite holiday or seasonal holiday with these little waffle wafers or little waffle, like cone waffle like that, but they were circular. They're very tiny.
Okay.
And they had dark chocolate on top and a sprinkle of peppermint.
Yes. That's amazing. I would like that.
Yeah, but they don't make them anymore.
That's a bummer. I think they do, some of those things are seasonal and then sometimes they just try them out and they never come back.
I know, that's true.
So I'm trying to think, what should we, let's measure out the spices that we're going to add to the chili. That way, once it's ready, we can just dump them in. I think that would be a good use of the time. Grab a dry bowl. So if you're making, the first couple ingredients are for the whole batch of chili if you don't want it spicy. I'll let you know when we're going to cut things back for spicy version. We need 3 tablespoons of chili powder, and regular chili powder is not spicy. It's a little smoky. I mean, it might be ever so slightly smoky, but I mean, my son, even before he liked spicy things, he was fine with it. So 3 tablespoons of that. Okay. I'm going to skip that for a minute because that's a spicy one. 1 teaspoon of cumin. I love cumin because it's good in Indian dishes, Mexican dishes, American dishes. It's so versatile. I feel like maybe, is that one on my newsletter that I send out? I did a, I don't think it was it cumin? I did a collection of recipes. Yeah, it was cumin. A collection of recipes where you could use ground cumin, because sometimes I feel like you get spices and you're not necessarily sure what else to do with them, and then they just kind of sit in your cabinet and look all sad and collect dust.
Is there a particular place you go to? Maybe I don't know if it was asked before, that you go for your spices.
I used to go to Penzies a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Anymore, I just buy whatever from like Stop and Shop.
Okay.
But I mean, there's still, yeah, the closest Penzies isn't super close. It's in like Connecticut, I think.
Yeah, I've ordered from them online. Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking of chili from Trader Joe's, I like the chili lime seasoning.
Yes, me too. It's like tahine, but yeah, it's really good. What do you like to do with it?
I like to put my chili. I like to put it with fish. I like to put my popcorn.
Oh, nice.
When I make homemade popcorn.
I haven't done any of those with that seasoning. This was just a teaspoon of garlic powder. I like sprinkling it on watermelon, mango, cucumber.
Oh, you're elevated.
Jicama. Well, no,
I'm just like,
well, like I like salt on my watermelon, so it's also, I feel like it's like a little different, but jicama is really nice because it's kind of bland otherwise, type of spice. Yeah, it's great on cucumber.
Really?
A little cucumber lime. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it gives it, it's like, yes. I don't know what it is about it, but
it gives an extra kick or something like that.
Yeah.
In a good way. Okay.
So half a teaspoon of cinnamon. Welcome. I'm glad you made it back from the grocery delivery. I mean, pickup. And a half a teaspoon of cocoa powder. It's just kind of like adds some richness, I feel like. So this is the basic spice mix for the chili if you don't want it to be crazy hot. If you want to go there and make it spicy, you'll add, for the whole batch, 1.5 teaspoons of chipotle chili powder. It's just like chili powder, but it's a little more red. Where'd I put it? Here. Right in front of me. It's a little more red or brown. And if you sniff it, it smells smoky, really smoky, but it's very spicy. And then we're gonna add a little 1.5 teaspoons of chipotle chili powder, half a teaspoon of cayenne. I'm cutting mine in half. So I'm not trying to make this complicated, but for me, I just gotta make sure I remember. I don't want my son to be too spicy. So for half, that's 3/4 of a teaspoon of chipotle. I'm just gonna put it in a separate little dish here. And a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. And Joanna, let me know if you need me to read those for you, or I don't know if you printed out the recipe, but if I've made that confusing. But it's not like, if my mother-in-law comes over, she doesn't do spicy food, so it's nice because, you know, there's something for everyone. And then depending, like if my son's not going to be around, if we're gonna have the leftovers for lunch, I'll just then combine the two together for leftovers. But that's that. Alexa, how much time is left? 4 minutes. Okay. All right. Alexa, cancel my chili timer. So handy. So I'm gonna go ahead. It's simmered enough because we're still gonna heat everything through. I'm gonna add these spices to the big batch of chili. So this is the non-spicy spices, and I'll show you what it looks like now after I give it a stir. So right now, just looks kind of like a sloppy Joe kind of situation. So we're gonna add our spices. and I'm keeping the hot ones aside for now. We're gonna add all 3 cans of beans, including the juice from the can. So we didn't drain them. If you drained them, it's not the end of the world, but next time, don't drain them. So it's 3 cans. And having like the different types of bean just adds variety, but you can absolutely use 3 cans of the same type if you have a favorite. I've done pintos before. I think I once did black-eyed peas. I would say like white beans would work. I would say something like chickpeas might not work because the texture is a little different than other types of beans, but you can experiment with it. Try different things. So I got all those beans in there. And now we're gonna add 3 cups of tomato juice. Oh, I bet tahini would, or the chili lime seasoning would be good on the rim of a not a margarita. Well, I have made a type of margarita with that, but of a Bloody Mary, like with the tomato juice got me thinking. So is that all of the other, let me just make sure. We added the beans, tomato juice, and the spices. And we're just gonna let it heat through. So I'm probably gonna turn the heat up a little bit, but you can see now it's looking like chili. Should only take a few minutes to heat through. You just want the beans to heat through. You can always test one of the beans and see if it's cooked. So I'm gonna take half of this and put it in another pot. And to let it heat through, you don't need to put the lid back on. You can if you want to, but you can leave the lid off. Here's my ladle. I haven't ever made I've had out at restaurants, but like a chicken tortilla soup. I feel like that's a good, like a comforting one, and you've got like the different textures. That would be a fun one to try to make. Has anybody made that or have a trusted source for a recipe for it? Just curious. I'm gonna bump the heat up to like medium high maybe. And then in my big pot, I'm gonna add the chipotle and the cayenne. Stir it in. All right, and then toppings, you don't have to do toppings if you don't want to, but it's fun, it makes it look pretty. If you have the time and energy to chop a couple things up, it's nice. I had a coupon, so I bought shredded cheese. This is a 3 cheese Mexican. Regular cheddar is great. A lot of times I'll just grate it off of the block. It's less expensive usually, depending on the cheese, it's less expensive to grate it yourself. When you buy already grated cheese, it's got like an anti-caking agent in it, which is why it doesn't stick together. But that's also why if you do grate your own, it'll kind of clump together. So you got to kind of do it right before you make it. I like doing a little Greek yogurt, like plain Greek yogurt or sour cream on top. I make yogurt, so I usually have some sitting around. Some cilantro, a little diced avocado. And I got shallots from the farmer's market months ago, and they're still like, they only had a container of them. I couldn't just buy them individually. I was like, yeah, I'll find a use. I've been using them since before I went to Georgia in September, and they're still going. So I'm like, I will use shallots instead of red onions because they're basically the same thing. It's just a little more of a mild flavor. And what I usually do, like for my family, I'll just kind of take the toppings and I'll bring a cutting board out to the table, whatever I prepped them on, and just let everybody kind of grab whatever they want. I do the same with tacos with the different toppings. That way people can just grab, like if you want cheese on yours or if you want sour cream. I'm not forcing the toppings on anyone. All right, let's see if we've been blessed with a good avocado. I do have backups, but let's see. Oh yeah, I mean, large pit, but it looks good. If you want it, the outside of it to still look nice when you dice it, you can peel the skin off. It took me a lot of years to realize you could actually peel the skin off of an avocado. But that way you still get this like the dark green outer bit, and then you can just dice it or whatever. You don't lose any of the flesh when you do it that way, so it comes out nice and clean. What I used to do, and sometimes I still do, pit out, is just take a spoon and go inside here and just bring it out. You don't really lose much, but you can see like there's a part of this edge is a little lighter because I left some of that in the skin. So it's not much of a difference, but and sometimes I'll just slice it right inside of the skin and then use this spoon and peel it out, or just squish it out if I don't care if it looks pretty. And if you're prepping your toppings in advance, you might want to wait to do the avocado until later, or toss it with a little lime juice, or yeah, I would just try to wait till not long before you serve it. So we've got avocado, cilantro, green onions would be nice too, or chives. There's lots of different things. Clean out your fridge if you got some stuff in there that looks like it could be of use. I have a shallot. Here it is.
This recipe is also great with Doritos crushed up in it, with cheese.
Yes,
maybe
that's
some sour cream. It's like a taco salad kind of.
So good. I put a link to my favorite tortilla chips from Trader Joe's, but I couldn't find the Trader Joe's website. I found an Amazon though, which is weird.
I feel like they don't have, either their website's not a normal website or something. They're trying to keep it exclusive, I guess. Yeah, flaxseed tortillas. Oh,
it's a veggie flaxseed tortilla chips, and they're it's like beets, spinach, and corn or something. Yeah.
Are the beet ones similar to? They have like beet crackers. They look like little pepperonis.
No, it's not like that. These look like tortilla chips. Yeah. Okay. Like triangle tortilla. Yeah, and they taste like. Yeah, they taste like
that sounds
light veggie chips. They're really good. They're my favorite. I buy at least two bags plus when I go there.
Nice. So yeah, this is just the toppings, and then I'll scoop out as soon as the muffins are ready, which I feel like they almost are. This shallot is very small, so I got to kind of keep in on it. Speaking of Doritos though, taco salad with Doritos, that's something that my husband had never done. I don't know if it's a Midwest thing because I grew up in the, is it, Susan, is it a Midwest thing to put Doritos in your taco salad?
Yes, that is a Midwestern thing.
It's like Doritos and ranch dressing, I feel like it can be added to many things, and
that's right,
completely acceptable and delicious.
Or Fritos. We're big with Fritos.
Fritos would be great on top of this too. You could even
they have a chili Frito, a twisted chili Frito that's
that would be really good.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Midwest. We do Fritos and all that.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I feel like my ranch dressing consumption was questioned a bit when I moved here. Like, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. I think because I dip, like, not pizzeria pizza, but like Domino's type pizza, I'll dip the pizza in ranch dressing and it's delicious. Let's check these muffins. And just be careful if you've put the water in there. These are looking pretty good. I'm gonna test them. They're not too brown on top, so I'm thinking they might need an extra moment.
Are those the sweet corn muffins?
They are.
Oh my gosh, they're so good.
Yes, I'm a big fan. I'm gonna take, I bought, because I don't usually have toothpicks hanging around, I bought a cake tester years ago. I don't use it that often, but sometimes I do, and it comes in handy. So you just stick it down into the muffin, and if it comes out clean, it's a little, I don't know if you can tell, it's like a little bit of stuff on there, like a beauty blogger, like It's a little bit of stuff, so it's still wet. So I'm gonna give it another couple minutes, but you just want it to come out clean. You can use a sharp knife also. But I can go ahead and dish up a bowl of chili. It's been simmering long enough so I know that the meat's cooked through and everything. Like I said, if you want to take a bean out and just see if it's cooked, if it's heated through, maybe I'll do that. Let me not give my husband cold bean chili. 3 beans, but they're cold, so or room temperature. And I'm not going to bite into this right away because I will have instant regret there. Like I said, our next virtual potluck is Tuesday, December 6th at 6 p.m. We're going to make ricotta cookies. They're delicious. I know Mary's a baker or a dessert lover, dessert enthusiast.
I've been back to making my ice cream again.
Oh, yum. I mean, do you still do it in the winter?
Yeah, well, it's a long story, but basically now I have a little mini ice cream churner, like it's a hand churner one. It's literally from like 1989. I got it at a thrift shop for $5.
I love
but
that.
It works really good. And I feel like the flavor tastes better than when I had my electric. So what I've just been doing is making just your basic vanilla ice cream. But what I've been doing is I put peanut butter powder on top and plum cardamom jam.
Oh.
So you get it's kind of like it's like an elevated peanut butter and jam kind of ice cream thing.
This is peanut butter powder, if anybody.
Yeah, that's the peanut. Familiar. Yeah.
It's literally powdered peanut butter.
It's great. It has less sugar content too than regular. Yeah.
And this jar, it says they made a new jar with less plastic, which is appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, peanut butter powder is great. It's pretty versatile. That sounds delicious. Turn these off. All right, I'm gonna scoop out some chili. And I know, is it Texas? They don't allow beans and chili. I think you get kicked out permanently.
Oh, really?
No, not really, but I think it's it's very non-Texan to have beans in your chili. It's just meat, pretty much. So
I think they don't use ground beef. They use
oh yeah,
regular
short
chuck roast or something.
Or short rib or something.
Something.
All right, so I'm remembering that I dished the spicy ones. I don't need to give my son quite a surprise, but I get some Greek yogurt. This is where if you want to make it look a little pretty, you can. And I especially with the heat, the spicy level heat, I really like the cooling Greek yogurt, stirring it in kind of is really nice. So I'm gonna do a dollop. I'm gonna let my son dress up his own because kids and some adults tend to eat more of something if they have a say in what goes on it. So I'm just doing a little cilantro.
How long does your homemade yogurt last in the refrigerator?
I'm not sure how long it would last if we didn't eat it so fast because we go through it a lot. I probably at least 2 or 3 weeks, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's one of those things that I've been meaning to write up for my website and just haven't. It's not very exciting. I use the Instant Pot. It's not very exciting to watch because you're just pouring milk in there, but
yeah, I've made it a couple times in the Instant Pot and I'm the only one that eats it. So I was worried that, and I don't think you can freeze it.
The texture doesn't come back right if you freeze it. But you can do a smaller batch. You don't have to do a whole gallon. I do a gallon at a time.
All right.
You can do a half gallon.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Which I used to do that before I realized we eat a lot more yogurt than that. It's just a little.
You make homemade Greek yogurt?
Yeah. So the regular yogurt. This is the regular that I made. You take this and you strain it. So I use this thing. It's supposed to be used to make nut milk, but it's a really fine mesh. You can use cheesecloth also. So what I do, I put some of the yogurt in here and I put a big bowl down and I hang this from the knobs on my cabinet and I just let it for a couple hours and it gets nice and thick.
I was surprised of how
Yeah, like look.
good homemade yogurt tastes.
Oh, I would love to try to make that.
I never usually would eat plain, but when you make it yourself, it's so good. You don't even need anything in it.
And you can pick, like you can choose like the quality of milk you want to use or whatever when you make it. And then what I do each batch that I make, I save just a little, like a couple tablespoons in a container. So when I go to make the next batch, it's like a starter for sourdough kind of good. So I'll use this in my next batch. So Mary, if you decide you want to try making homemade yogurt, you can bring a little container. I'll give you some of my yogurt starter if you want it.
Oh, I would love to learn to make that. I think years ago I made regular yogurt, but not Greek yogurt.
Yeah, it's really just the thickness that's different. So it's super easy.
See.
And then I usually leave the corn muffins in the pan for a few minutes before turning them out onto a cooling rack. Let's see if I can get one out of there without burning myself. So cute little muffin in a Halloween wrapper. We're not very on season, but these are really fluffy. You can freeze them. They hold up well in the freezer if you have any left, which is not necessarily likely, but so that's it. This is super comforting meal. I'm glad to know I'll be eating the same dinner as Joanna tonight. So exciting. What kind of meat did you use?
I did use beef.
Okay, that's how I had it for years and years and years. It's really good. I hope you enjoy it.
I don't eat a lot of beef, so this is like a treat.
Yeah, same. And bison's an interesting alternative to beef too. Ground bison, they sell it at Stop and Shop, Wholesale Club, and everything.
Really? Okay.
I think there's a lot of information online. I think it's like a little better for the environment, the way that they farm. Like they do stuff for the grass. Like they're really good for the grass. Anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope to see you in 3 weeks to make some ricotta cookies. It makes a ton of cookies. It's great for cookie exchanges. Those also freeze well. And like I said, let us know if you have any requests for upcoming themes for 2023, which I can't believe is even
I know
spoken right now.
Thinking about it. Yeah. Thank you, Ashley. That was awesome.
Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Everybody.
Have a good
All right.
night.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Happy
Oh my gosh.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.